Hi guys, Jamie here from Taylor Roofs. I'm out in the yard today and we're comparing Spanish slate versus Scotch slate. I'll start off with the traditional Scotch slate. These were also known as Ballyhoolish, although there is other quarries that was in Scotland. There was Easdale and Highland ones as well. However, Ballyhoolish is the most popular, but up here in Scotland we just tend to call these Scotch slate. These are used on mostly heritage projects or listed buildings, but traditionally in Scotland any slated property would have had Scotch slates on it back in the day. So this is a Spanish slate, more modern, comes in uniform sizes, and this takes up a lot more of the marketplace these days. This one's used on particularly new builds and also any strip and reslates that are being carried out. So some of the things to compare between the two slates here are Spanish slates. They come in a more uniform size. This one's a 1610 Cooper H3, and then you've got the traditional Scotch slate that actually comes in random widths and sizes, and when they come off the roof they need to get dressed and sized and put into the correct sizes to then be used on the roof. So another thing to consider would be the lifespan. Now, we've seen these slates be on for 100 to 150 years before getting stripped off and put back on again, but there may be some that's lasted longer. So these ones are really do stand up to the test of time. With the Spanish slate, the Cooper H3 specifically, if you use copper nails or an alloy nail as well, they're actually, from the quarry itself, are given a 100-year warranty. So to be fair, they're quite close in comparison that you'll probably get 100 years out of each if they're fitted and installed properly on your roof. Another important question, I guess, would be the cost. Now, per slate, the Spanish slate costs you more. But where the differences come in is the Scotch slate will actually require, to get a hold of these, you'll need to get them from a reclaimed yard, or you'll need to take them off an old roof and they'll need dressed and sized. When it comes to working with either slate, roofers will have their own preference. I think it would always be a preference of mine, if you can, put the Scotch slate back on the roof, just because I believe that protecting and preserving traditional buildings is the right thing to do. However, I would have to lean onto the side to Spanish slate to say that it's probably as easily fitted. So if you were a roofer on, say, price work, you'd probably have an easier task making more money on fitting these ones. However, if you're more inclined to want to preserve a roof and see keep the heritage there, then this is probably the better slate. But generally speaking, I'd have to say the Spanish is just a touch easier to work with, and yeah, that would be my preference. But let us know in the comments, if you're a roofer, what would you prefer to work with? Another huge benefit of the Scotch slate is that it can be reused. So we've seen these go on roofs for over 100 years plus, and then they've been stripped off, dressed and resized, put back on, and they could go another 100 years. So this is probably the most sustainable option. Once the Spanish slate comes to the end of its life, I would be thinking that you can't take it off and reuse it. It's not going to be something that you would dress and size the slates again. I think once it comes off, it'll be a case of in the skip they go. I would go for the Scotch slate. I just think it comes down to the project that they're going to be used on. Now, if you're going to be restoring a heritage property, or you're going to be trying to preserve a property in a listed area, then it's got to be Scotch slate. If it's a new build, I'd probably go for the uniformed option of the Spanish slate. So I'll let you decide in the comments what you think and what you would pick. I trust that you enjoyed that short video on slates, and if you'd like to hear more about different products and compare any, or how Taylor Roofs does roofing, then subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments what you'd like to see next.